When I was growing up, we didn't grow up poor. My mom always referred to how we grew up as kind of genteel poverty. Like the necessities in life were taken care of. And we never had any luxuries. I mean, dinner, we would probably eat out dinner maybe once a month, and that was usually McDonald's.
Quite often people would try to lure him into civilian life and say, Wes, you could make so much more money. Why do you want to do that? It's a hard life. You have to move every couple of years. He just thought it was the most wonderful thing he could do with his life, was to be dedicated to the country.
Even though he was the commanding general, you were never left to feel less than, regardless of your rank, your gender, or your race. General Clark was very supportive of women. He did not place barriers, which is different than most assignments. You get there, oh my God, it's a woman. It's a minority. General Clark was just the opposite. He got on the phone with Washington and said, why don't I have minority officers in my division? Why are they not being given the opportunity?
Wes and his wife, Gert, were, in my judgment, a perfect command team. When they were together on bases, they were loved and admired and respected, and they were devoted to the development of young people, especially the school system.
I had 44,000 school children in Europe when I was the commander in Europe. We changed the curriculum. We fought for better schools, better funding, for a Head Start.
I always felt one of Wes's greatest assets, he's a great teacher. Because a great leader is a great teacher. And I think what touched his heart was watching young people grow in their lives.
250,000 Serbs have fled Kosovo since the war, and more than 400 have been killed. Believes President Milosevic will try to destabilize. NATO is now preparing to send another 2,000 troops to Kosovo.
Nice to see you.
An emergency meeting of NATO.
We're winning. Milosevic is losing, and he knows it. Take one more question, right over here.
General Clark, in the Kosovo campaign in the winter and spring of 1999, faced probably the most challenging diplomatic and military crisis that NATO had faced since its founding in 1949.
If you can get the French and the Dutch and the Germans and the Italians and the Spanish and everyone else on board for an operation as complicated as that, without losing a single life, and with the gratitude of the people that you liberated, it was just a phenomenal success.
Genocide had been stopped, and Milosevic had been defeated. There were 19 member nations to the coalition, and to try to cobble that disparate alliance together to achieve a military objective was an extraordinary act of military judgment and military tactical genius.
People around the world love our ideals. They love what we stand for. They just want us to act in accordance with our ideals. That means to respect others. That means to intervene only reluctantly, never for selfish reasons, multilaterally if we at all can. It means to be slow to anger, to use international law and international organizations where possible. We have to live up to our ideals.
I've always said that there are two things important in a president. One is intelligence, the other is character. And if you can't have both, you probably choose character, but in Wes's case, he's got both.
There are an awful lot of people out there who very publicly say that this is the finest professional officer they've ever known.
In all the time that I've served with General Clark, I've never heard anybody talk negatively about General Clark. This is U.S. forces as well as the NATO forces. The guy was loved.
I found Wes to be an individual not only of impeccable integrity, honesty, but also he would really go out on a limb where he really didn't have to because he thought it was right.
He has integrity. He calls it like it is.
Wes Clark is nobody's yes man. His ability to cut through BS that somebody's giving him. I don't know any communicator better than he is.
He's a soldier, but he's a statesman as well.
He's been around the world. He knows foreign leaders. He knows foreign cultures. He knows our own culture.
He's not just a person with a narrow military knowledge. He's got a great grasp of some of the complex issues surrounding education and economic issues.
His entire life has been one achievement after another. But I think the thing that makes Wes different from others is that he has been motivated not for personal gain. He's been motivated because he feels genuinely for this country and always has.
He will have the welfare of the American people writ large always in his heart and in his mind.
I think Wes Clark is the American hero, and I know that's a trite term and perhaps an overused term, but it's a realistic term when you describe him.
America has all kinds of heroes. Heroes who stay teaching in a peeling classroom, firemen who go rushing into burning buildings. And I think Wes Clark is someone that all those heroes would feel comfortable with.
I'm no high-ranking officer. I'm just an average soldier serving under a great man. A man who makes no apologies for doing the right thing, for the right reasons, and never, ever makes you feel less than because you don't have stars on your shoulders or didn't graduate from that school. General Clark makes everybody feel important.
You know, I'm about to have a grandchild, and I'm just incredibly thrilled. We've been waiting a long time for a grandchild.
It's going to be a little boy. And I said, what kind of world do you want him to grow up in?
I hope it's going to be a world where the United States is respected and admired, where our prosperity is shared by all of our citizens and not just a privileged few. I hope my grandchild and all our children will have a sky's the limit kind of life, the kind of life I was given.
For his outstanding leadership and dedicated service, General Clark has earned the respect and admiration of a grateful nation.
Receiving the Medal of Freedom from President Clinton was one of my proudest moments because I knew that this uniquely American honor belonged not just to me, but to all who'd gone before me. My grandmother and grandfather, who scratched out a living in the lumber mills of Arkansas. My mother and stepfather, who sacrificed everything to make my life possible after my father died. And my grandparents, who survived the Russian pogroms to fulfill their dream of coming to this country. And now I dream of an even greater America than the one they viewed from a ship's railing. An America where we live in peace and harmony, not just amongst ourselves, but with our neighbors around the world. I can see such a place. To me, it's just over the next hill. And I guess when you get right down to it, I'm an old soldier, and I always believe in taking the next hill. I believe we can get there, that together we can create a world in which all our children are able to fulfill the promise of their own destiny. We can do this. We must do this, for it's our duty, our honor, and our country. I'm Wes Clark, and I'm running for president, and I approve this message.